Africa must unite. But Africa is not going to unite because of the number of seminars and symposia that we hold. No, not at all. We have held enough symposia, we have had enough workshops about uniting Africa. But what I begin to see is that the masses of Africa are beginning to rise and making demands of their leaders. Have you ever asked why this continent has always been attractive to other civilizations? What is it that so many years ago, before the white man came into this continent, what is it that the Arabs saw? Because the Arab was here. We never talk about it. The very first people to go into the eastern coast of Africa were Arabs. And they enslaved Africans. We never talk about it loudly for purposes of political correctness. What is it that they saw? What is it that the Europeans saw in 1884 that Africa was carved out? What did the Germans want in Namibia? What did they want in Dahomey? What did they want in Rwanda, Urundi? The Germans who are in Germany, why did they want to come here? Have you ever asked that question? Have you ever asked yourself why little Portugal wanted Angola, why they wanted Guinea-Bissau, why they wanted Mozambique? What did they want here? Have you ever asked why the British had to move several thousand miles, that little island, to come and take Nigeria and take Sudan and take East Africa and go down south? Have you ever asked what little Belgium wanted in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or what the Italians wanted in Ethiopia, although they were stopped, or what they wanted in Eritrea, or what they wanted in Libya? Have you ever asked? Africa has resources. But African resources have always taken different forms. There was a time when the African himself was a resource. There was such a time. And it's not even that can be talked about in historical terms. As I talk to you now, slavery is back alive and well in Libya. Africans are being enslaved as I talk now, and being sold in Libya to Europe as I talk now. As I talk now, slavery has taken a different form. As I talk now, our minds are not decolonized. That is why 10,000 young men and women die in the Mediterranean Sea every year. We are not counting those who die in the desert. We don't, because we don't know. The question is, how will we solve it when our little countries believe that there is something called sovereignty? When a little country whose GDP is no more than $2 billion also has a president, with a cabinet, with a parliament, which is bicameral, with embassies all over the world, and the country, the president of that country with a GDP of $2 billion enters into a bilateral meeting with the president of China. And you say that all nations are equal. If there was ever a joke, that is one. Part of the reason why Africa cannot compete is because Africa is weak. And we are weak because we are divided into 55 odd countries created in Berlin. And we are allowing ourselves to fight. The locusts are fighting, and the kunguru is ever so happy. They come in and take what they want. And meanwhile, we are left fighting. We are weak because we are divided. And we are divided by our erstwhile colonizers. I may not have the statistics, but if you go to the former French colonies, You will discover that the French have some detachment of their army inside of those countries. If you go to Burkina Faso, you'll find one. If you go to Niger, you'll find one. If you go to Central African Republic, you'll find one. If you go to Cote d'Ivoire, you'll find one. If you go to Senegal, you'll find one. You go to Benin, you'll find one. You go to Togo, you'll find one. You go to Gabon, you'll find one. When they want to change leaders, they change them like we change underwears. Africa must unite.